By 1944, the United States was the arsenal of democracy, producing tanks, planes, and ships at a staggering rate. American factories ran day and night, churning out weapons and vehicles faster than ever before in history. The scale of production was unprecedented, with entire cities transformed into engines of war and millions of workers, men and women, answering the call to support the front lines. American GIs were sent to war with the best equipment money could buy. On paper, they were unstoppable. Their rifles, tanks, and uniforms were the envy of the world, and the promise of American industry seemed limitless. But beneath this industrial might was a dangerous oversight: the weather. The Army's focus on firepower and machinery left a critical gap in planning for the harsh realities of the European climate. The U.S. Army had not prepared its soldiers for the brutal European winter of 1944-45. Many GIs arrived with only light jackets and summer uniforms, completely unready for the freezing temperatures and relentless snow. While machines were built to last, the men operating them faced freezing cold, snow, and rain with inadequate gear. They improvised as best they could, but the lack of proper winter clothing and boots took a heavy toll. Soldiers shivered in thin clothing, their boots failed, and frostbite became a common enemy. For many, the cold was as dangerous as the bullets and shells they faced on the battlefield. The winter campaign would expose a fundamental weakness, not in firepower, but in understanding the human cost of war. The suffering endured by the troops revealed that victory required more than just machines. It demanded care for the people who fought. The lessons learned in that terrible winter would reshape the Army for generations, ensuring such a crisis would never happen again. From then on, the welfare of the soldier became as important as the weapons they carried. The problem started far from Europe, in the sun-drenched training camps of Louisiana, Texas, and Florida. Here, American soldiers drilled under cloudless skies, surrounded by heat and dust, never imagining the very different battlefields that awaited them across the ocean. Soldiers trained under warm skies, learning tactics and marksmanship, but never how to survive in snow and ice. Their days were spent perfecting their aim and marching in the heat, not learning how to keep their bodies warm or their weapons working in freezing temperatures. The Army fell into the sunny climate trap, preparing for the last war, not the next. Training focused on what was familiar, not what was necessary for the coming conflict. Marching in Texas heat didn't prepare anyone for knee-deep snow in Belgium. The endless drills under the blazing sun left them tough, but not ready for the bitter cold and relentless wind of a European winter. When these divisions arrived in Europe, they were physically fit, but unprepared for the cold. Their uniforms and training were designed for warmth, not for the icy winds and snowdrifts they would soon face. They didn't know how to keep water from freezing, layer clothing, or start a fire in wet conditions. Even simple tasks became complicated, and survival skills they never learned suddenly became a matter of life and death. Accidents and inefficiency soared as every task became a struggle. Equipment froze, boots cracked, and men slipped and fell, all because they had never been taught how to cope with the cold. Even commanders underestimated the cold, issuing orders fit for summer, not winter. Their lack of experience with harsh weather led to costly mistakes and confusion on the front lines. The Army's failure to anticipate the European winter left soldiers fighting two enemies, the Germans and the cold. For many, the weather proved just as deadly as the bullets and shells. Of all the equipment failures, none was more catastrophic than the standard issue boots. The two-buckle combat boots with leather and canvas soaked up water and froze solid. Soldiers, untrained in cold weather foot care, wore wet socks for days, leading to trench foot and frostbite. Some divisions lost more men to cold injuries than to enemy fire, The Army's supply system couldn't keep up with the need for dry socks or waterproofing. This was a failure of design, logistics, and training. Soldiers were carried off the line with blackened, swollen feet. A grim reminder that boots can be as vital as rifles. The crisis in footwear exposed how a simple oversight could cripple an army. The cold didn't just attack soldiers' bodies, it crippled their weapons. Rifles and machine guns that worked in France jammed in the sub-zero Ardennes. Standard lubricating oil thickened in the cold, turning to sludge and freezing moving parts. Soldiers learned through bitter experience to strip their weapons of oil or risk a jam at the worst moment. Machine guns froze after firing, and ammo belts became brittle. Training had never covered winter weapon care. Soldiers improvised to survive. The psychological toll of not trusting your weapon was immense. In the Battle of the Bulge, GIs learned that a weapon is only as reliable as your knowledge of how to maintain it in the cold. The winter inflicted wounds that weren't always visible. Soldiers huddled in frozen foxholes, drained by cold, hunger, and fear. The relentless misery led to foxhole lethargy, a mental shutdown where men lost the will to fight or even survive. Some stopped eating, neglected hygiene, and let their weapons freeze. The cold magnified every stress fear of attack, isolation, and sleep deprivation. Morale eroded as the environment became as deadly as the enemy. Junior leaders fought to keep their men active and alert, but the army was unprepared for this psychological battle. The focus on tactics ignored the invisible wounds of cold and exhaustion. The winter of 1944 proved that a soldier's will to fight can be broken by the elements as surely as by bullets. The crisis forced the army to adapt, fast. Quartermasters rushed better gear to the front. New boots like the shoe pack and the insulated M1944 boot, plus more dry socks. Foot inspections became routine, and commanders enforced strict foot care. Layered clothing systems replaced thin jackets, and reversible parkas offered warmth and camouflage. New lubricants were developed for weapons, and winter maintenance training was hastily introduced. After the war, the Army established cold weather training centers and redesigned programs to include harsh climates. The sunny climate trap was recognized and avoided in future training. The suffering of 1944 led to a more resilient, better prepared military, one that understood victory means defeating the elements too. The U.S. Army's struggle in the winter of 1944-45 is a lasting lesson. Industrial might alone can't win wars. Even the most powerful armies can be humbled by nature's fury, and the bitter cold of that winter became an enemy as formidable as any opposing force. The failure to prepare for the cold had devastating consequences, exposing a critical vulnerability that no amount of firepower could overcome. Frostbite, exhaustion, and low morale swept through the ranks. The image of a well-equipped GI shivering in a frozen foxhole is a warning against institutional arrogance, a reminder that technology and supplies are useless if they don't meet the real conditions on the ground. The crisis began with flawed training, as soldiers were sent into battle without the skills or experience needed to survive in extreme cold. It was worsened by bad equipment, boots that leaked, jackets that offered little warmth, and supplies that froze solid before they could be used. And the situation deepened as a lack of knowledge about winter survival left many soldiers improvising, often with tragic results. But the legacy is also one of adaptation and reform. The Army learned from its mistakes, determined never to repeat them. The Army developed better gear and more realistic training, ensuring that future generations would be ready for the harshest environments. They fostered a new respect for the human element, recognizing that survival depends on both equipment and the knowledge to use it. The experience proved that preparing soldiers means more than teaching them to fight. It means equipping them to survive anywhere under any conditions, no matter how unforgiving. The memory of that winter is a permanent charge. Never again underestimate the cold, and always honor the sacrifices made in the frozen silence of history.